All by myself.
It's funny because I didn't think you would keep singing when I turned the camera on.
You know what's funny is I literally don't know how that song goes. Like, that's the only part of the song I know. I don't even think I'm in tune.
All by myself, all by myself, all by myself. All by myself, all by myself, all by myself.
I'm pretty sure there's more lyrics than that.
Bitch.
I don't think that's one of the lyrics.
All by myself.
Okay.
Bitch, bitch, bitch.
You know, I'm just gonna...
All by myself, bitch. Bitch, 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 bitch. Biddity, bitch, bitch, bitch. Biddity, bitch. Biddity, bitch. Biddity, bitch. Bitch. Bitch, 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 bitch. Bitch, 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 bitch. You know when it starts getting like more upbeat, you know what I mean? Bitchity bitch, bitchity bitch, 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 bitch.
But I don't think the song does get more upbeat.
I've never really heard the whole song.
Right.
6 historic events that were nothing like you pictured them to be, mostly because of the death, sickness, and filth involved. I've never seen this video, I have no idea what to expect, but that's what I think of when people talk about Alexander the Great and how awesome he was, and not thinking about the fact that he's probably covered in blood and animal juices.
Also, he took it up the butt.
Yep, see, we're on the same page there. People just blot that part out and just go, he's amazing. And go, yeah, but they were gross.
Right.
Can you stop crinkling? Stop crinkling.
I mean,
No more crinkling. Stop it. You're kicked out of crinkling.
Give my choritos back.
They're your huetos?
Choritos.
Doritos?
Choritos.
Germitos.
Like you're saying churro.
Churros.
Choritos.
Germitos. I'm killing it right now. Any historic events you can think of that'll be on this list?
Pearl Harbor.
Okay. Can you get me the headset? Because you unplugged that one, but you didn't plug the other one in.
Around 200,000 years ago, our
That's
species
accurate.
airdropped into existence.
Especially like the little airy part underneath his thigh.
Exact
Right.
fancy brains and clumsy genitals we have today. 5,500 years
Do
ago.
they like know that guy or something? Or
Right.
like,
They made him.
oh, okay. I was like,
No, I don't know. I'm not saying they
where'd
did.
they
I'm
find that
saying,
fucking
I don't know.
dude
We invented writing stuff down, and history started. The first 97% of the existence of our species is prehistory, and it's like those years in the 70s that David Bowie doesn't remember. We created some cool
I don't know
art.
who that is.
Otherwise, we have no clue what we
He's
were
dead
doing. Lord of the
now.
Rings?
Rest
Sure.
in peace.
Could have happened twice. We would have been surprised both times. Today, the word prehistory
Dude, they have to fucking know this guy. There's no way.
makes us picture a caveman with a big forehead dragging a woman around, maybe painting a deer on a cave. Even though it's
He's
by
just like
definition
make a rape joke, like in the middle of this fucking
What did he
historical
say?
video.
Oh, dragging a woman around.
Yeah. Damn.
I mean, I don't know if it was a. It was,
Is it not?
I mean, that's kind of just what happened back then.
Really? All of it? All the time? You needed the sexual revolution for sex to be not terrible for women. Is that what you're saying? And how come so many people fucked? There were so many fucking people.
To be fair,
Literally, fucking people. Not real.
when women like would have like a mental breakdown or emotional breakdown, or she'd get depressed or something,
Right.
I'd send them to the doctor,
Yeah.
and the doctor would spray them in the vagina with water, masturbating. Maybe they were masturbating the women.
Okay.
That's what I'm telling you.
Okay, well just say that, because you said spray them in the vagina with water like you would a dog. Like spritzing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
psh, psh, and that's it. You just send them on their way. No, that's not what you're saying. That's no. Spraying, no.
Look it up.
Come here.
Look
Give me your
it up.
face. Give me your face.
That's not my.
Anything?
That's not the same. Flicking.
That's not where your vagina is? I'm so confused about this
Continue the video.
conversation.
I'm done with you.
the part after
I'm a
evolution
virgin, I've never
stopped
had
changing
sex.
our foreheads and our body in general. And all signs point to women creating most of the early art. So 0 for 2 on the only 2 things we know about the vast majority of our species history, which should give you some idea of how bad we are at the last 3%, otherwise known as history. Here's what Jesus probably looked like. And the reason we know that is because his name was Jesus of Nazareth and not Jesus Christ. That man-shaped thing has eyes the color of sky. Kill him. What about history's pinups? Nope, other kind of...
I like how he starts off with Jesus. God
that people
damn.
who aren't Mel Gibson jerk off to? Ah, yes, Cleopatra,
Jesus.
who a page full of
Damn.
Google image search results assure us looked like Kim Kardashian with more dramatic eye makeup. In her
Yep.
own time, her beauty was described by Plutarch, the guy who writes stuff down, as not in itself so remarkable
Yep.
that none could be compared to
Yep.
her. So don't get Plutarch
She
to
wasn't-
write your wedding vows, I
Yeah.
guess. But actually, Cleopatra's family was famously ugly after
Yeah.
generations of inbreeding, and here's a portrait of her from an Egyptian coin. As for that little vixen Pocahontas, who won over early white settlers by looking like
was like
a half-Asian jewel, according to reports from her time, she was apparently bald, but you'd never know it from
What?
that hat that's clearly
What?
not overcompensated.
She was bald?
That was unexpected.
Also, her name's not Pocahontas. But that's not the
Waiting
point.
for anything. Well,
Can't think of what it is. Motherfucker.
You know what's funny is that like Plutarch thing he quoted about Cleopatra.
Yeah.
I read that. Like I read that whole thing.
Yeah.
It's very boring. He's not a fan of her.
No.
that standards
No,
for
he's not.
what's attractive have changed over time, but those eyes seem less like they're begging to tell you about the colors of the wind and more like they're daring you to play cards without checking her for a switchboard. When I say Shakespeare, the image that pops into your head is probably
That
actually
guy.
this 19th
Right.
century
Yep.
forgery. It was on the cover of every Shakespeare paperback printed before forensic x-rays
Forgery.
revealed that the name and date conveniently finger painted up in the corner was lying. There's actually only one portrait that we know was intentionally a drawing of Shakespeare. Fortunately, it was etched by Martin Druschet, an artist known in his time as not very good at this. We probably shouldn't give him anything important. And yes, I believe that's a plausible pronunciation of his
God
name. So
damn
every
it.
image you've ever seen of Shakespeare,
Okay.
bald guy with a flair for dramatic colors and a mustache probably,
Yeah.
is based on this one illustration. On the plus side, it looks like what we think of as Shakespeare, but on
Right.
the other hand, so do that artist's other etchings, such as this one titled Guy You Can Tell Isn't Shakespeare Because I Put a Hat on It. It's worth noting that he probably sketched Shakespeare after he was dead. And for some context, here are some portraits of celebrities drawn by a police forensic artist who was allowed to consult photographs when he drew them. From left to right, that's Bill Cosby, Tom Cruise, Ronald
Wow.
Reagan, and Michael Jordan. But
That's
I'm
crazy.
so sorry.
Look at the one at Bill Cosby. There's not even a pill in his hand. There's no way it's that guy. No.
You cannot say these
There's no
things.
way it's him. There's
I'm
no.
sorry, he said it was Bill Cosby, Tom Cruise, Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan, and who was the other guy?
I don't know. I wasn't listening. I
Wow.
wasn't listening.
But you knew that. We're sure our image of Shakespeare based on an illustration by a terrible artist who'd never met him is right on. That's something that gets edited out of history for some reason. The awkward early years when staving
They
off
made us
boredom
do that fucking poll thing
The
in
maypole
class.
thing?
Yeah.
That shit
replaced
sounds so cool.
starvation and
It's
bear
not.
attacks as the #1 activity to stave off. We didn't know whether to go see Macbeth or watch a bunch of teenagers cram themselves into a phone booth. Footage of Houdini performing the tricks that captured the
That's
world's
crazy.
imagination was recently discovered by us on the internet. Here he is
Yep.
jumping into a river in his underwear like a crazy person, or wriggling around his straitjacket until it busts loose because it's poorly sewn. You never suspect he has magical powers, but you do get the sense that he would definitely eat a bug if you dared him to. That's because
Right,
Houdini
yeah.
has less in common with the magicians of today than the insane things people found amusing when boredom was first invented, such as throwing picnics to watch the Civil War like a spectator sport,
Yeah,
or setting
man.
up bleachers to watch nuclear bomb tests.
Yes!
That's Miss Atomic Bomb 1957. Keep your hands to yourself, fellas.
That was
She's
in my history
extremely
book.
radioactive. Very dangerous. Your parents had Woodstock, but their grandparents had Crush, Texas, a temporary town built for the 40,000 spectators who flocked to watch a rich guy crash 2 trains into each other at full speed. Actually, that'd be extremely popular today.
Yeah, that would be
Probably
cool.
sponsored by
Say, I
Tostitos.
would definitely
Yeah, I would fucking watch
Princes,
that.
we'd
Crunch.
talk
Oh
about
my
how the
God.
Tostitos train crunch was a new low in our selfie taking, emoticon using, cat captioning, cartoon porn drawing, garbage TV watching, modern culture. Even though, as you can see,
Jesus.
we've always been into all of that shit.
The one time you made edible spaghetti.
That's TV show Three's a Crowd, in which a man's wife and his secretary are asked uncomfortable questions and try to tear each other's hair out while the guy feigns concern and tries to hide his erection. See, their culture was just as trashy.
I
They
wanna
just
watch
chose
that
not to.
Show.
Me too.
I want to watch Where's that show?
We should find that.
We
Talk
gotta
about their
find
equivalent
it.
of
Yeah.
the Real Housewives
Oh, I
of New
wanna
Jersey
see
and
that.
pretended they only ever watched Leave It to Beaver. But at least the visual spectrum has painters and etchers. The only way to make sure history remembered that Abe Lincoln's voice was high-pitched was to teach your kids to do an undignified girly voice. But there are some weird ways
What?
we can glimpse what the world sounded like before recorded
He is
noise.
throwing
For
a lot
instance,
at
you
him.
know the rebel
Yeah.
yell is that thing Bo and Luke Duke did before ramping their car awesomely. But on the battlefield, it apparently sounded more like a coyote being raped by a bird call.
I was not prepared
No,
for those
wasn't
sounds,
ready.
and I apologize if you were equally as unprepared for those sounds.
Yeah, that was
But we're
bad.
gonna continue those sounds.
Also, this blooper reel from early 20th century movies seems to indicate that everyone was just pretending to speak like that.
Jesus Christ.
And get that fine, cool air on your chest. And go swimming in little pools and...
Holy Christ, now where am I?
I'm sorry I started speaking like a real person for a moment. I don't know what got into me. They must never know we don't speak like carnival barkers. What's really weird is that if you took a time machine a few hundred years ago, you might not understand a single word of English.
I can him and your Saturday night. Right. They keep driving.
Those are the people from Smith Island, and they've stayed almost
I didn't
completely
hear any of
isolated
that.
since landing off the coast of Virginia
Sorry.
in the 1600s. They still talk like people did before there was a mass media piping proper TV English into every home. When you spoke English the way your parents and their parents before them, your English was only as good as the drunkest branch of your family tree, which turns out is pretty drunk.
That's all the mud. Ain't no problem.
He is shitting on
He
these
ain't cutting
people
that off
though.
further, that crowd going out.
What is that man
That's a
talking?
gym in the 1930s
Get the
having
fuck-
not
what
the
the
faintest
fuck
clue
is
how
it?
exercise works.
Nigga.
It's possible because back then food was still food in that it went stale and mostly tasted bad. Corporate America hadn't scientifically
Yeah.
engineered snack chips to be more addictive than heroin, so people tended to stay person-shaped until they smoked themselves to death. And if
Person-shaped.
that makes you jealous, wait till you hear how drunk they were just all
All
the
the
time.
fucking time. You ever seen a
All
movie and somebody
the
just
time.
like, yo, you want some gin or some whiskey at work? Just drinking fucking whiskey.
Well, like, so I was like a nerd, like as a kid. And there's this book called The History of the World in 6 Glasses. And I won't bore you with the details.
Please don't.
But basically, we used to drink beer instead of water because water wasn't safe to drink.
That's a true fact.
So,
A true fact.
like, we just, you know,
Drunk.
being an alcoholic is just in everybody's blood, apparently.
Yeah.
For instance, the Boston Tea Party was actually the Boston Rum Party, which explains the costumes. The Puritans stopped in Massachusetts because they were out of beer. The Congress of Vienna is famous for dividing up Europe after the fall of Napoleon, but in Vienna it's known more as the time the world's most powerful kings and diplomats spent 9 months blacked out in our city,
Fist
fighting,
fight. What the
fucking, or
fuck?
drunk driving their horses
Fist
into
fighting.
everything in their path.
Drunk
Ulysses S.
driving
Grant
their
was
horses.
openly roaring drunk while commanding the Union victory in the
48
Civil War,
hours!
which Abraham Lincoln went on record saying
Because
made him a
of-
better field general. And finally, 2 days before signing the U.S. Constitution, George Washington, Ben Franklin, James Madison, and the 52 other delegates who were in the process of forging the greatest political document in human history went into a Philadelphia bar and between them drank 100 bottles of wine, 22 bottles of porter, 12 bottles of beer, 8 bottles of whiskey, 8 bottles of hard cider, and 7 bowls of spiked punch.
How the
Jesus
fuck?
Christ!
How the fuck?
How were they alive?
Which you might recognize as way more alcohol than 55 human beings should be able to consume
Right.
without dying. The innkeeper also charged them 2% for all the bottles and chamber pots they broke, because they had toilet fights, I guess. And that's how they pre-gamed the signing of the US Constitution. So, just to recap, we spent the first 97% of our existence shrouded in the cultural equivalent of a blackout, finally clawed our way out of the blighted darkness and pulled the starter cord on human progress, and upon completion of what some consider to be the finest use of the written word, we celebrated by getting so drunk nobody could remember their own name, which makes you wonder if we invented writing so that we could just get as f***ed up as we want without worrying about remembering stuff.
Yo, we should have a drink to celebrate that.
You know, I'm okay.
Does that change the perception of getting really fucking drunk or no?
Right, we're gonna get drunk and then do great things like write a constitution.
I think it puts a
that
dent
they-
in it.
That people will then say, hey, they were of super sound mind when they wrote that, so we should only ever obey the Constitution. 100%.
Are you bringing a political argument about the Constitution into a video about drunken history?
Never. I would never.
Neither would I. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Oh yeah, this show from GMC. What the fuck is it?
What? Three's a Crowd. I remember.
Three's a Crowd? We're gonna find this shit.